Okay, fine. So what I'm saying, so today's class we'll see how to configure database settings, how we can connect application to database. So database in general, yes, it would have some server name, and in the server you would be having some databases. So we'll open and see first database, how it looks like. I have SQL Server configured in my laptop, so we'll see, and how database will looks like. And well, the default is a database will have some security features like you can access only with certain username and passwords. So those names will be created with database admins. So let us open database and see how we could connect to application. And so I have Microsoft SQL Server. Yeah, so this is SQL Server, and here SQL Server agent is mandatory. I mean, SQL, you'll be having two services to run the SQL Server and SQL Server agent. So you can start these two services. Okay, you can see here the moment I started SQL Server agent, SQL Server started automatically. So yeah, it's like for the to run this service, this service should be always up. So that's why when we started this, even this got started. This is a dependent service. I believe it could be useful just to run jobs or some kind of stuffs, but maybe DB admins will have more idea. So well, these two services you can start if you want to do some experiments with Microsoft SQL Server. And to open Microsoft SQLs to open Microsoft SQL Server, so it would be managed using SSMS. I mean, sorry, it is a management studio. It is called Management Studio. So its shortcut is SSMS. And but anyways, in real time, you won't be getting access. These things only you can do in your laptop. So if you just enter SSMS, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio will open. So using this tool, they will manage databases. As it is being Microsoft, even this is little bit user friendly only. At least to create database, all those things, it's user friendly. So all the classes whichever we have done, they are in the shared drive, and they are even in the YouTube. So, okay, so you can see here server name, and in real time, they will keep on saying instance name. So in general, these both server name and instance name would be the same like host name. So, oh gosh, okay. So my name is same, and so here the server name is also same. And to log in, so so similarly in Linux, you are having admin user as a root. So here in SQL Server, the user like root is called as SA. So it will have all the privileges, all admin privileges. So it's just like root user in the Linux. SA is a root user like root user in Linux. So you can remember SA. And for the so let me keep the credentials. Not responding. Server is well. I should restart my laptop after the class. Okay, so here, well, if I go to databases, okay, well, if we go little bit detail, right, these are system databases. I mean, these are like default folders, like you have IM, IM shared in WebSphere, even program files or Windows folder in desktop. So this like that, these are default databases which you get by database. These snapshots, I don't know whether I took or if I don't know about this. So I just created the database with name test1, and in SQL Server it's not so hard. You can just click on, right click, and then create new database. Maybe let us see the options. It may be asking for username and password. It won't ask. Yeah, we already logged in using credentials, so that's fine. Give the name and whatever details it will ask. You can create database. Fine. If you go in depth, right, it is very tough. I mean, it's not okay. If you go in depth, right, it would have some database size, and it will have some size for logs. So you can give all those details. That's fine. It's like it will become more complicated. But in the real time, if you want to understand about logs, one thing I can say is there is something called term called transaction log. Maybe when you are monitoring, when you have application connected to database, you may get error saying something like transaction log file got filled. So while creating database, you will have option to give the size for transaction log. So I don't know where it come, but okay. So you would have options to options to give size for transaction log. Why I'm saying is, if this log space gets filled, you'll get errors, and your application could not. You may not. Your application may not connect to database, or the logs cannot be written in the real. The real time logs cannot be written. So you'll get error, transaction log is full. So if this size, whatever the size they give, right, if it's full, they will say the transaction log file is full. You'll get an error message. So in short, when you get this error message, the runtime activities will not get recorded. Then we can say what is the problem. The problem is, if it is a banking application, someone is trying to withdraw money, and you know, right, sometimes money gets stuck, and you will not get money in the ATM. I'm just giving one example. So but you should get money back to your account. That is nothing but it will SQL database, these kind of applications will have, to revert the process. By itself automatically, the whole process will get reverted. So that reversion process will takes place from transaction log. So while you're doing some transaction, everything will get recorded in transaction log, and if something gets break, right, so it takes the reverse action. So those things will happen. So in banking applications, even transaction log is very important. Well, the whole point is, if you get some error related to transaction log, for our level, we should just give it back to database team, saying that we are seeing this and this error in the logs. You can check with the database. So that's the whole point. If you get any error related to transaction log, you can revert the issue to database team. So that's fine. Now the whole funda is, let us try to connect this database through WebSphere. So, uh, so in a hurry, I stopped all applications. So we'll start only one app server, and we'll try to connect from that. Fine. So let us go to files app server 03. Fine. One. Okay. So let me check the logs for to check its port number. 9066. It's still the server till I check the server status. Yeah, it is coming up. So and so it's like anyways, so we normally access database. So to access database, well, you should know the server name, you should know username, password, and you should know to which database you are trying to access. So in short, we should give all these details in the data in the WebSphere, and we should have some technical name so that using that name, your application can connect to the database. So we have steps to give all these details, and it is all combined with one name called something called like something, I guess it is there in the notes. So it is it's so once you create all configurations, so the database settings would be referred with JNDI name. So if you give that JNDI name, application stream will write their code as per JNDI name. So well, and one more thing, so now IBM WebSphere is an IBM product, and you have Microsoft SQL Server. So it's like to interact, to have communication between WebSphere and then SQL Server. There is something small software. It uses small application, and using that application, it is connected to. It can connect to database. Well, that is called JDBC. So they will say the technical term is JDBC driver, Java Database Connector connectivity. So Java Database Connector. So these drivers are provided by a database means a vendor. I mean, suppose now I'm trying to access Microsoft SQL Server. So Microsoft will provide JDBC drivers. So we have to download JDBC drivers from Microsoft website, and we should give the and we should store somewhere in your server, and you should let know that WebSphere that you can use this JDBC driver. So first we can create a JDBC drivers. So we will let Microsoft know where exactly this JDBC driver resides. And so here, that is what the first step, we can create a JDBC provider. And then, so the second step, you can give authentication details like username, I have used SA, and then password, and I should give the authentication details in the second step. And in the third step, you should give details of these both, and then it will you can and it will give some name. That's what I told, some JNDA name. So using these details, we can connect to the database. So let us do step by step. Yeah, I don't know background which updates are going or scanning is running. I don't know. Today my laptop is too slow. Okay, uh, this service will update Windows 10 automatic updates. Better I disable this service. Okay, it's manual only. That's cool. Better I stop this service. Okay. Maybe some updates were going on because of that. System is too slow. Fine. Can someone else record today's class later on? We'll try to and send me across. I'll try to merge the video because today my system performance is too slow, or else we may have to restart the laptop. So Raghu, can you start recording from your end?
Okay, I mean, no issues.
Yeah, I'll stop here.
But
Then
there
you can
no,
start and you can
there will be some disturbance.
yeah, you can give me the yeah. Pardon?
There will be some disturbance. We will get, I think so, right?
I mean, if you record.
I believe.
Hmm. Okay, we'll see if we could manage. If not, okay. If it is too slow, then we'll go for it. Then okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Fine. So here you can see here JDBC providers. So I said we yeah the most apart from its explanation, they very frequently use the term JDBC Java Database Connector. So yeah, these drivers, they would be provided by a database vendor. So here we are trying to connect Microsoft SQL Server. So these drivers would be provided by Microsoft. We need to download from their website. So I have already downloaded and I kept in my laptop. So we should give those details here. So let us check what all options it will ask and we'll give those details. Fine. Maybe this is by default it has configured. So let us go to new, and yeah, before that, if you can see there here, select a valid scope. So we can select, to which server cell you want to configure. Well, we can do the same things in uh, deployment manager. And okay, now because of speed issues, that's why we can go it from here itself. So if you go into deploy manager, well, I guess for a few of you guys, I have covered clustering. So you'll see here, if you have clusters and you'll have servers, so you'll have only standalone federated nodes. So you can select whichever cluster you want, or whichever server you want to use these database settings. So you can select and you can go ahead. Say suppose I just want to configure to this, no, only to JVM. So I can select it. So let us go ahead with JVM and configure uh, drivers for this JVM. And so even the so if in any application uses this the J&A details or all those things, so while deploying also you should select the same scope. Then only you won't have any conflicts. Fine. So we have, yeah, DB2 is the database of IBM, and I believe mainframes they use only DB2. But whenever I see mainframe, they use database as DB2. Database free source database, I believe. Oracle, everyone knows. SQL Server, and Sybase. It's also one of the old database. So right now we are we want to configure settings for SQL Server. The database type is SQL Server and provider type. Yep. So we have downloaded Microsoft SQL Server JDBC driver, and so this is we are trying to connect database using this. So I'm selecting that option, and then implementation type. One second. So the most common is XA and Exadata. This connection pool, it's about threading process. If you know, like if you go in more depth, right, you might have seen somewhere, the number of threads or number of connections would establish in the form of threads, all those things. So if you go in depth, maybe if you want to manage about number of threads, connections, all those things, in those cases you can use connection pool data source. So generally it's generic is XA data source, and yeah, it took some default name, and providers confirmation. Okay, it gave some description. Fine, let us go ahead. And yeah, so here it is asking for the path, and so this is taken by default. But if you see here, these are environment variables. Environment variables they would we will find here our system administration somewhere. So well, after the class we will try to see how exactly environment variables are configured. So see, this and this is same environment variable, so we should give the path here where this jar file is located. So Microsoft, right, they gave drivers in this jar file, so we should just locate the path where this driver is located. So in my laptop, well, I have this path here. I have located JDBC provider. So let me access it. Yeah, so these are all default files which I got from Microsoft website. So this is a driver file. So let me copy this path and give it across, and if you see the nodes here, driver and native path would be same. It would use to locate this JDBC driver, and saved as WebSphere variable. So this is just to letting this WebSphere know that where exactly JDBC driver is provided. Fine. Yeah. So we gave the details of JDBC provider, and so the first step is finished. And in the next step, we would be giving authentication details. Fine. And so the second step, the technical term, it is called as J2C authentication alias. Here, in this path, it would ask for server instance name and username password. So let us go and give the details whatever it asks. In the security, in the global security. Okay, let us search for, yeah, Java authentication authorization service. So your applications are obviously, most of the applications are configured using Java in WebSphere, and maybe I don't know, in .9 I believe they gave features using .NET also. Well, so here Java, the name itself implies, so all Java applications, it is majorly used for Java. It is used for Java applications. So we have to go here, and let us create some new. So fine, here we should give the name. So you can give SQL J2C something. And yeah, so if you did remember, we gave the username and password while trying to log in. So we had to give here, and then let me give the password. And description, I can just say it is option. And okay, fine, so it is created. So I believe, so we still need to give the database name. So we have to give database name. So let us check the third configuration data source. Here we have to use the first two settings, and we might have to give database name. So let us go here. So yeah, here also you should select the scope. So earlier I have created JDBC providers for this server JVM level. So I'm selecting the same scope, and then on it should work obviously. So let me click on new, and then yeah, you can give some name. So SQL data source. Yeah, so as I said, GNDA name. So if any teams ask for GNDA name, you can navigate to data source and check the details and provide the GNDA names. So I'm giving the GNDA name. Yeah, and yeah, maybe here you can try to create new JDBC provider, but I have already created, so I can use an existing JDBC provider. So we have created JDBC provider with this name. I'm going ahead with that. Somebody is celebrating birthday. Yeah, so yeah, we were discussing, which still did not give the name of database. So here the name of database is test one. So let me give test one. One. So yesterday we were discussing about port numbers. So any applications will use port numbers. Even database will use port number. So the default port number for SQL Server is 1433. So it is using by default. It is taking by default. I believe 99% they will not change the port. By any chance, if organization changes the port, you can check with database team. And here it is asking for server name, and server name, as I said, instance name. So if you want to check instance name, you can do right click and check here in the properties. So yeah, name. So this would be instance name. um, as of my whenever I see, right, most of the projects they will use. Okay, I should check, Raghu. I did not remember. Fine. Okay, so most of the cases instance name and this server name would be same, as I said. So this is the name of SQL server. This is instance name of SQL server. And coming to the Rabgu's point, he want to dig little bit more about ports. So if you want to dig about ports, I believe SQL server, this is the default port, but I believe there are few more ports about SQL
Just now
server.
I checked,
Let us try.
21 only.
Yeah, there. Yeah, okay. I mean, there are a few two important ports about SQL Server. I did not remember the other port. Maybe we'll just see what Google says. SQL Server.
The interview question, right?
I know SQL. I believe they won't ask. Yeah.
Like, if
I
you are
mean,
going with the portal server, definitely they are going to point and these only, right? Port number.
ah, okay, got it. hmm Well, default port. This is fine. No, I'm just trying to dig. There are two ports. Uh, if you say about SSH, maybe 21, 22 are there, and they use different purposes. So like this, I believe there are two ports. One is used for one purpose, other is used for other purpose. I heard long back. So though I'm not a database admin, if I get details easily, yeah, I got it. I thought if I get the details easily, we'll discuss. Yeah. So fine. So 1434 is a default port for dedicated admin connection. You can start the dedicated admin connection through. Fine. And 1433, the default for SQL port. This port is also official internet ascent. Sacket this is a connection port. SQL Server Management Studio uses port to manage SQL Server requires a network. You can reference SQL Server to listen to the 1433. So yeah, so we were connecting using SSMS, right? So as it interacts with SSMS to connect to database. This is the port we are using, 1433. So there is one more important port, 1434, dedicated admin connection. Maybe if you try to maybe we should go dig in a little bit more. If you are trying to connect to some other special means for extra security, whatever, you may use 1434. But anyways, uh, if you want to remember, you can remember this is a SQL Server default port, 1433. Fine. Anyway, subject never ends, right? Okay. So instance name here in the database. Yeah, I can copy the instance name. And in the company, you should get all these details from database admins to make sure all details are correct. And here to which all details, for where in which environments you want to use these settings. And fine, desktop node 2. So in this profile, maybe we have some node 2, so we can use it there. And fine, what is this? Container managed authentication. except this here, if you have something called Kerberos, and generally you would be having some active directory kind of servers like SiteMinder, Active Directory, all those things. The technical term they use for integrating with these domain controllers are like some Kerberos. So if you have some complicated architecture for authentication systems, then you can select whichever is configured in your environment, so that those environments can use these settings. So right now, so I'm just selecting the available features, and I'm going ahead. So I'm finishing it, and so now we have finished configuring database settings. Hopefully we have done correct, and let us do test connection before restarting the server. I believe generally it works before restarting the server. Fine. So SQL data source. Yeah, this is the one we have created, and you can select that and do test connections. Yeah, the test connection of data was successful. So it's not an error. It is having some warnings, maybe some compatibility issues. It could be having some compatibility issues. So this is about configuring data sources, and yeah, for R&D purpose, you can dig around. You can go to SQL data source. I mean, you can explore the options. In general, even if you talk about IAS, or even in WebSphere, if you go to performance level, you'll be having something called threads, application pool, all those terms. I mean, nothing but you will limit the size, or limit the load on the server, so that once you set those limits, in general, those would be integrated to a monitoring tool, and if it crosses the threshold, you will get alerts. So if you dig around, you would find details about threads and connection pools. Yeah, see connection pool properties, and yeah, you can give connection timeout, and maximum connections, minimum, all those things. You can dig around and check for performance related configurations. And, so in the data source, you can dig around. You can dig around for each and every option, and know about it. And, yeah, this is what about connecting application to database. So any questions? Do anyone have any questions on this?
Regarding this connection pool properties, for example, most of the application minimum connection is 1. So what is the standard parameter for we keep these?
Okay, yeah, sure. It again, depends on application and the kind of load that application handles. See, if you are having applications where the usage is about pulling reports, in general, pulling reports takes more time in general. So if in, and you should check the hardware availability, resources available on the server. So all those things we should calculate and we should balance. But before calculating all these things, always you will have some real time data, how this application is functioning. So if you are creating new application, then you should go for real maths. But when if it is an already existing application, you will see the report, how CPU is performing, and what are the typical business hours. During business hours, how CPU is responding, how application is responding, and what are existing configurations. You will have already existing data. You should remember existing data. And if application gets more load, you can update it. Only if you are trying to create new application, in those situations you should analyze more, like what is server, what exactly application does, and how much load we can expect. All those things you should think, and then you should give. So it's you cannot say any particular data. It all depends on application and your hardware feature on the server. So yeah. So in simple, if it is a existing application, check with existing configurations, and check with existing performance during business hours. They analyze and get to some value. Fine, right? So, any questions from anyone? Okay. And so Neha, if you by any chance, if you did download the Linux and if you have some time, we can just take 5 or 10 minutes to install Linux.
I downloaded both, but it didn't do the installation. The virtual box we had,
Okay.
but didn't do the installation.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. So like everyone, this is all this topic. This is a topic I want to cover today. So now next, we'll just do two steps. One is Linux installation on the Jyoti system, and next, we'll just try to do silent installation once more, yeah, like by moving the um, software to the actual path. So I mean, if someone is having some work, they can leave because the actual class is over. So, but if you guys are stay, if you want to stay, that's also welcome. So, Jyoti, I'll make you presenter. So, sorry, I'm making you organizer. And fine, let us continue the recording also. So, yeah, Jyoti, you can share your screen and so yep, Sandeep, you're busy trying like maybe you're not getting time to do some practice.
Well, it's not like that, Praveen.
I know initially it takes time, but you may get obstacle everywhere. Initially, I'm truly speaking. To do small work also, you'll get obstacles. My experience says to do small step also will get obstacles initially. Maybe you should Google around. You should do YouTube. You should go to my videos and check all those things. Then if yeah, you may have stuck somewhere. That's fine. You can just let me know. We'll take remote access and we'll figure it out.
Generally, I mean, what kind of issues do we face in our, regular day-to-day work?
Okay, so here, right, till now today, what we have said, the most one of the major error code I gave you a clue while checking if application gets hung or doesn't respond, you have to you have to check the logs. While checking logs, as I said today, you might see something called transaction log gets filled. So if you see something log related to transaction log, you can expect that database is having some issues, and you can loop the database team and say that we have seen error related to transaction log. Can you check whether it is fair enough with the database and transaction log settings? So yeah, this is one example as per today's class. And one more thing, sometimes development team they may ask you G&A name. So you should go to the data source, the third step which we have done today. You can go to database, so data source and check the G&A name and give it to development team. And yeah, and few applications only use this database connections. If they ask you to do database configurations, no, only very rarely you will get a chance to create new applications. Then you can create all these settings. And yeah, as per today's class, yeah, these are fair enough. And yeah, we were discussing about connection pool. If your application is having performance issues and you are getting logs, error logs related to database, then you can go to connection pool settings and increase the pool size so that the server can handle more number of requests. You can get all such kind of issues about today's class.
Okay. If you don't mind, Praveen, can you show us on your work laptop? I mean, generally how everything looks. I mean, if
Yeah,
it's
that
not
is
a
a big
top
challenge.
secret, but
That should. Okay, Jyoti, did you try to make you presenter or shall I
Hmm.
make? I mean, that is a tough challenge, Sandeep.
Okay. No, I understand. No problem.
Yeah, Jyoti, I made you presenter.
Ravi,
Yeah.
can we check it tomorrow?
No, no problem. Yeah, only that's why the first option is you should have time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And fine. And okay, and yeah, whoever want to stay, they can stay. I just want to do like this small experiment on this silent installation. I just want to copy the path of old system, and I just want to do some silent installation. Yeah, whoever want to stay, you can stay. Maybe it will take 10 or 15 minutes. So the whole point what I'm trying to do now is, so we have created a silent response file initially. So well, the whole question is in real time you would get only terminal. So using that response file, how to install in the any other system whichever you want. So now the question is how to add repository. So right now the small technique which I am using is, better you keep the software same in the same location how it was there in the system where you took response file. So let us do that practically and initiate it. So our question will get resolved. I know it will take repository automatically, but I just want to check with practically. Only booting takes long time. I should just copy the path, that's it. Because I have already uninstalled the Linux which we have installed yesterday.
Hey, Praveen, are you talking in mute?
Yeah, Raghu, actually, I'm not talking.
Oh,
No, that's fine. So, I mean, so most of the things you guys know what I'm doing, I'm expecting like that, so I'm doing fine. Okay, so yeah, so what we are discussing, configuring repository through command prompt is a lengthy process. So here, to simplify ourselves, we just want to have this repository.config path should be same in wherever we want to create, we want to install Linux through silent mode. Why? Because we have created a response file from this system. So this is the path of repository.config. So I should paste the software in this path. So I'll just get my pen drive and I'll copy this path to my pen drive and okay, cool. Yeah, give me a moment. I'll get my pen drive. Okay, so I copied it to the pen drive, and now I can. I'll go to the other system where we want to install Linux. Sorry, WebSphere. And Sandeep, don't wonder, we don't really do these things every day. So initial stages, you'll have hardcore documentation, and the only L3 standards, they will create documentation about all these steps. Even till L2, you'll get all the documentation. So everything would be done in development, QA, and then you'll do in the prod. So you'll have already existing process, existing applications, existing all configurations. You'll have previous documentation. Even if you have to prepare some steps, you'll copy from previous documentation. So all those things will happen in the real time. The whole point is, so you no need to one think like you have to do all these steps in the real time. So these salad installations, so only senior persons will do. I mean, especially if they have to do documentation right from beginning means only senior persons will do, and it would be generally L3 standards. So Sandeep, you're there? Okay, maybe I should say once he comes.
Also, regularly we're not supposed to work on it, right?
Deployment, you're saying, right?
No, data source also we are not supposed to install like every time, and we are not supposed to.
Yeah. And even my experience, I don't know, just wondering, means not all applications will use this database settings, right?
Like for installation part, like we are having some build team will be there. They are going to take care about the build installation part and everything.
Hmm. Okay. Build, are you using any middleware tools, or which build you are talking?
Like in particularly some people are noting some people are brutally assigned for installation part. Okay, they are taking care
Okay.
about the installation part and
Uh, okay. Yeah. Deployment teams. We have deployment teams, yeah. They will do only this, but their job would be hectic. They will do only deployments. Weekends, they will.
that's why it's a cool job. Yeah, one thing is they're more responsible about the whatever the troubleshooting part. If at all any configuration will change, we need to.
Uh, yeah, we need to pinch in. That's true. Yeah.
If they made a mistake in configuration level, also we are need to take responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. In turn, we should know whatever they does.
Well, Praveen, what is this bash coding, bash scripting? You have any idea about this bash scripting?
Bash, nobody scripting. No, I'm not having experience
New
in
technology,
scripting. I
scripting language
do.
or what it is?
Sorry, what did you ask? Scripting?
Bash scripting is
I know only shell scripting, but I mean I don't really write scripts. I wrote only small scripts, only backup all the small scripts. Only for loop, yeah. We have to use for loops for automating zip files, zipping zip files, all those things.
but like
So,
today I got a query that bash scripting. I don't know what it is.
are you saying BSH or
Yeah.
BSH? It is same like shell scripting. The interpreter is different, I believe. Instead of shell, interpreter will use bash, I believe. Same like shell scripting, I believe.
I'm
That is what I'm believing.
frankly I even don't know about shell scripting. I know only Python.
Python is much better
That's
actually.
what.
It's having more features. That's cool. Now Python, anyways, future I believe scripting languages like Python will boom like anything. Already it's in top level now. Every data science, every field they are using. In every field they are using Python.
Only the basic scripting is enough. As a WebSphere administrator, the basic scripting is more enough to us.
Huh.
We are not at the what our pursuit get it full expertise is
Hmm. Yeah.
basically it is provided by developers. If we are going to understand that, it's good enough.
Yeah. True. So yesterday we have kept softwares here, and let me try to connect pen drive. Okay, so the path should be something like this. So let me create folders like this. Fine, we have something different folder, that's fine. mkdir, and then silent mode, fine. Oh, sorry. I should create in root, so mk, I'm creating in root, fine. Okay. Okay, accidentally I have created folders with the same name. That's really cool. Okay, awesome. Fine, everything is there already by default. So, so we can directly now run by creating the command. And okay, so fine. So the repository is placed at the same path like this. So now we should just need to run the command. So let us go back to the command. Oh, I'm just checking what command we have used yesterday. I guess I wrote somewhere, and crazy I forgot. Okay, fine, I got it. So yesterday we have used this command accept license input silent mode. Okay, till here it is correct. We are having a response file, and hyphen log, we are giving the log at this location, and fine okay, we should check one more thing, whether repository is configured or not. So repository is not configured, so I'll just show you that and we'll start installation. So even though repository is not configured, So using response file, it should take repository configurations and it should install WebSphere. So here I just want to check whether repository is configured or not. I have removed yesterday, but I just want to show. So file preferences. Yeah, so there are no repositories configured. So let us create installation and see. Okay. IMCL accept license. We are inputting the response file and we are giving the log location. So let us remove the log file also. cd /test rm last. Yes, done. Okay, so that's it. We place the software in the path which we required. So let us run the command. It should add repository by itself and it should install WebSphere. So we are in this folder. We should go to tools and we should use IMCL, and then so I'm pasting the command. Last IMCL accessible input. Yep. So Neha, you're there. Fine. So let us see the output. So may I know if anyone is there online?
I'm there, Praveen.
Yeah, we can talk. Go. I believe. Anyways, after 5 or 10 minutes,
Okay.
result will come. We should just see the results. Wow, we got the error. Awesome. The installation directory exists and contains files. Yeah, that's fine. Let us remove the files. After uninstallation, I did not remove the existing
Hey,
files.
Sandeep is back.
Yeah, I'll give the message which I want to say. Fine. Okay, so how to remove this complete folder? Anyways, it will create by itself. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to execute the same command. Okay, Sandeep. Yeah, Sandeep, are you there? Maybe he's just trying to connect. That's fine. I can say, our, now we can say it is working fine. So without giving repository configuration, just by placing the software in the correct path, suppose we took we created response file in some XYZ system, and wherever the software is located, we should locate in the same path. Then we should use a silent response file. Then so application will get installed. So the proof is it is already running. Installation is going on. You can we can check those things in the logs. So we have log placed here. So yeah, logs are getting created. It's working fine. So any questions for anyone? So Raghu, shall we wind up for the day?
Yeah, sure, Praveen. I'm just checking the installation part. That's it.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Anyways, I'll keep the screen on, and I'll come and check maybe after 5 minutes. And yeah, you can also stay online. I'm not disconnecting the meeting as well. So yeah, I'll check the logs, and I'll close the meeting. Okay. Sure. Chalo then. I'll be back after 5 minutes. Yeah. ఉషా సిటీ మిషన్ ఉషా ఐరన్ పాతది మంచిది పాతది బ్రాండ్. సరే ఇన్స్టాల్ అయింది. ఎందుకు ఏమైంది ఐటమ్? అదే డ్రాప్స్ ఎందుకు ఉన్నాయి? నీళ్ళతో మంచి నీళ్ళతో కడుక్కో, చేతిలో పెట్టి ఇట్లా కడుక్కో. అన్నిటికీ మందులు వాడద్దు, ఫస్ట్ చేతులు ఇట్లా ఇట్లా కడుక్కో. కలద్దలు పెట్టుకొని పోవాలి డ్రైవింగ్ అప్పుడు. పోతుంది ఇట్లా కంటెంట్ ఇట్లా అంటే కలిగితే పోతుంది. అది కెమికల్ కదా, ఇది ఇట్లా పెట్టుకొని ఇట్లా కడుక్కో, మంచి నీళ్ళతో కడుక్కో. అవునా? Yeah. So Raghu, are you there?
Yeah, Praveen.
Yeah, Raghu. I'm just saying that it's installed.
Yeah.
So you can see
Yeah,
it, right?
I already seen that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, chalo then. Anything else?
Okay.
See?
Nothing, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Chalo then. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
कैसे मुझे धोखा दिया, कैसे मुझे चीट किया?
Yeah, Neha, any questions?